So I've had a long history of camping throughout my whole life thanks to having two parents that like to go camping. Particularly my mom. My mom loves to go camping, and we went camping to all sorts of different places. And a lot of that was because I was a Boy Scout. So yeah, I was a Boy Scout. People have mixed feelings about Boy Scouts, and I understand why. Sometimes it could be a little too militant for some folks, but I lucked out. I had a marvelous Scoutmaster. He was fantastic, leader of Troop 97. We called him Mr. C. Hey, Mr. C, if you're watching, thanks very much for being a positive impact on me growing up. I really appreciate you and your approach to inspiring young men to become better men as they grow older. Now, when I was a Boy Scout, though, I wasn't very driven. I wasn't incredibly disciplined when it comes to getting your merit badges and climbing up the ladder, the hierarchy, or getting different ranks, they call it. There's not really a hierarchy there, but kind of was, you know. The more you achieved, the more authority you had amongst your peers. But we, once again, had a very wonderful Scoutmaster where we all kind of met on a level, not so much inferiors and superiors and all of that. We were all a bunch of young men who are trying to drive and push each other to do better for ourselves, competing against ourselves mostly, and trying to become better versions of ourselves. It was a wonderful experience for me overall, and it gave me a lot of opportunities to go camping. So I did a number of different camping trips with Troop 97. We went to Lost Lake Scout Camp, which was super cool place to go. I don't know if they're still open or if they're still a scout camp. I think it went for sale a couple years ago. But that was just a marvelous experience. But we did a lot of other trips with Troop 97, and we did monthly meetings at the Eagle's Nest. We had our own building where we met once a month, and I think other troops might have used it, or other organizations may have used it, but it was pretty much a big open gymnasium with a kitchen and some restrooms attached and a utility closet room with the heating and the cooling and all of that. And it was just a wonderful experience. It was really good to have somewhere else to go to meet up with other young men and play sports, learn about swimming, first aid, life skills, just a bunch of different things. The merit badges were actually really cool looking back at it, and I wish I was more driven, and I wish I did more with my time in the Boy Scouts. I never made it up to Eagle Scout. I think I made it up to, so you start off as just a scout, and then your first rank you move up to is called tenderfoot, then you go to second class, first class, star, life, then eagle. And I think I never made it past second class. I might have made it to first class looking at this, but I certainly was never a star, life, or an Eagle Scout. And I wish I was more driven and I got my Eagle Scout when I was there and I had the opportunity to, but alas, I didn't quite make it. But I did, as I've said over and over again in this video, got plenty of good out of the Scout experience because it was so unique compared to other people's Scout experiences. I remember going to Lost Lake Scout Camp and seeing other Scoutmasters being incredibly militant with their Scouts and having them follow certain protocols and rules about what time they have to wake up, about how they clean dishes, about how they fold their laundry, all sorts of things. And I felt bad for a lot of those other kids that had that high level of discipline. And there's advantages to that, sure, but at the same time, though, these are kids you're dealing with, and there's a certain amount of leeway you ought to give them for them to learn and grow on their own. And maybe it's just a difference in philosophy about how kids ought to be brought up and how they should be influenced as young, impressionable people growing up throughout the years. But once again, I am incredibly grateful for my experience with Scouts. So quite a bit of things still have stuck with me to this day, being a 38-year-old man that I recall from the Boy Scouts that I can't get out of my memory, that still have a significant impact on me to this day. And it kind of comes alive when you see the end of my videos, when I have my little words of wisdom at the end of each episode that I'm doing here. And you'll see it at the end of this video here today. But for right now, I would like to recite what we call the Scout Oath, which is this. On my honor, I promise to do my best, to do my duty, to God and my country, to obey the Scout law, and to help other people all times, and to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. And that stuck with me throughout the years, even though I've gone back and forth between an atheist and an agnostic, and even a believer in God, and even a believer in many gods. I've been all over the place as far as my spirituality is concerned, and my philosophy in general. But be that as it may, God is a very vague word, and it can mean a lot of different things to different people naturally, and it has throughout human history, no doubt. But for me, God doesn't necessarily have to mean what it means to other people. It can mean something much deeper. The God beneath the God beyond the understanding of what God is, what God actually is. So I try to view it in that sense, that it's something that I don't fully understand, and I doubt that most other people fully understand, but try to get to the root of what God is, the essence of God. I hope that makes sense. This is supposed to be about Boy Scouts, not about God and religion. So I said I promised to obey the Scout law. Well, what's the Scout law? I'm glad that you asked, even though you didn't, and I made you ask rhetorically in this video. I don't even know what you're saying. I'm a video on the internet, and you're watching it, and I can't hear anything you're saying. You can say anything you want to me, and in one ear and out the other, because I can't hear it anyways. The 12 points of the Scout law are as follows. A Scout is trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. So yeah, between obedient and reverent, I think those are the 2 points where I may fall off the rocker a little bit, even though I am an ordained priest through the Universal Life Church out of California. Yeah, I've done over a dozen weddings in my day. I haven't done any funerals yet, but I'm open-minded. Those got to be a lot more difficult to be a public speaker at, but hey, now you know a little bit more about me. I'm an ordained minister. But this particular church I'm ordained through will ordain anyone and everyone that feels that they have their own personal connection to the divine, to the God beneath the God beyond the God. And I got ordained because someone specifically asked me to be the officiant at their wedding. And I obliged, and they gave me the link to the website where I could become an ordained minister, Universal Life Church. HQ.com, I believe is what it is. Don't quote me. Do your own due diligence if you want to become an ordained minister yourself, and make sure you pick the Universal Life Church that's legally recognized in all 50 states. Pro tip, if you are looking to become ordained, make sure you do your own research to make sure you're joining the right church that gives you the legal credentials in order to do things that clergy people can do in a legal way. So there you go. There's a brief little synopsis of my experience as a young man going camping, how a lot of that camping came out of my Boy Scout experience, and how much I got out of the Boy Scout experience due to having an awesome Scoutmaster. Once again, Mr. C, I hope you're watching. Mad props to you. Thanks for being a wonderful influence on a bunch of impressionable young men. You did a really good job with that, and you had a wonderful family yourself, and you raised some marvelous kids, marvelous wife. Lots of respect to you, Mr. C. Thanks again. And maybe got a little bit more out of it too with my experience with Universal Life Church out in California and my personal connection with, or lack of, with the divine that's out there. So that's that, and that's where I leave you. So now I'll end this video with the words I've been ending most all my videos with lately. Never give up. Unless it's a bad habit. Do your best. Do the best of your personal abilities and what your abilities will allow you to do. Be true to you and who you are and what you stand for. Just be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. There's enough BS and liars out there in the world. You don't need to add to it, especially to yourself. And on top of all that, my friends, be amazing. What I mean by that is to be the best version of yourself possible, just as I learned in the Boy Scouts. Thanks very much for watching, folks. I appreciate it very much. Please check out my playlist section to know more about what I post about on a daily basis here on YouTube, including my circus and flow arts tutorial videos. And I guess I'll see you in the next video. Take care and good night. Bye-bye.